Whenever a new gacha comes out, I feel like my reaction at this point is to briefly look up, play it for a little bit, realize I don't like it as much as whatever I have been playing, and then leave it to one side, never to be touched again. But this time is different, because it's a licensed open world gacha game. I can't think of any other Genshin clones that are licensed, to be honest. I'm sure they exist, but none are coming to mind right now. This is the Seven Deadly Sins Origin. Now, cards on the table, I actually was looking forward to this game. I like the series, I've seen all the anime, yes, even the bad ones, but I still watched it and I enjoyed it. I'm waiting on Fortnite Season 3 as we speak, but back to the game. It's an open world gacha in similar vein to your Wuthering Waves and your Genshin Impacts. And I'm not going to keep bringing up other games because I think it's kind of lame to do that, but it's just an easy example of the layout we're looking at here. Now, I'm no stranger to gacha platinums at this point, so I figured, why not? How bad could it be? Well, I'm making this video, aren't I? To start with, I'd say you can broadly split the trophies into two types. What I'm going to call active trophies and time-gated trophies. Active trophies are ones that you can just log in right now and grind them out right away, whereas time-gated ones are things that take keys, which are this game's stamina system, or are to do with limited resources in the world. Not every trophy takes a ton of effort, like you need to recharge the Book of Stars with Tristan 10 times, I think. You can do this literally as soon as you find the first recharge point and just spam refill it. Or talk to 3 soldiers in Leonis. You can do that just by accepting side quests and eventually you'll get it done. Or running into a sandstorm 20 times. Specifically, these are the little sand tornadoes, which should be obvious, but this game actually has 2 different things called sandstorms. And both of them are relevant to different trophies, which was not confusing at all and I was not mad about it. One major reason I think that I have such a problem with the trophies in this game is that the trophy descriptions either don't tell you how much is something you need to do, or they just lie to you in the description. Okay, lie might be a bit misleading, that implies intentional subterfuge, when in reality I just think it was a massive oversight, or lack of care. We'll take the trophy for riding on a giant's back for 80 minutes as an example. Not a difficult task, you plop yourself on the giant and come back 80 minutes later to find that you don't have the trophy, but you do have an in-game achievement for basically the same thing, but at a lower time frame. So what's going on here? Well, every PlayStation trophy is actually tied to these in-game achievements. Problems come in when you find out that there are different tiers to these achievements. This isn't a new thing by any means in gacha games, a lot of them do this. The difference is normally, say the tiers are 45, 90 and 180 chests collected. When you get 45 chests, you get that tier of the achievement, and you start the second tier at 45 out of 90 already complete. In this game though, you reset to 0 at the start of every tier. So for that giant achievement, you actually need to do 80 minutes plus whatever the earlier tiers are. I don't actually remember, I think it was like 40. Pretty much every trophy is like this, so diving for 40 minutes is a lot more than that. Sailing for 180 minutes is also much longer. But these at least tell you the time of the final tier you need. Some of the other trophies in the game don't give you that much, such as the fishing one, it just says catch various fish. Yes, the in-game achievement tells you which fish you need to get and how many of them, but you just looking at the trophy don't know which tier you need to complete. It's the third tier, by the way, which needs 40 of each of the 7 specific fish types they ask of you. This takes a while, but once you know where the fish all are and what they look like, it's not a hard thing to do. Fishing materials are also mostly thankfully gotten from fishing itself, so it's like a closed loop. The only exception is meat, which you can find from certain enemy types, which thankfully respawn. You don't need to wait a day to get materials like in other games, which is a positive. I will give it credit where it's due. The cooking one is much the same, make various dishes. How this one works is you need to make a certain amount of 1 ingredient, 2 ingredient, and 3 ingredient dishes. Now I must confess, I don't remember the numbers, but one thing that is really helpful for any material or ingredient is to always keep at least one of them. You can use the game's in-game tracking feature to find any item on the map by selecting it from the item menu, allowing you to find a lot of items every day, quite easily. Because of this, it really wasn't hard to do the cooking one. The hardest part was actually just finding a 3-ingredient recipe, as if it's not a valid combination, you will get scraps instead. And speaking of those, there's also a trophy for getting a certain amount of scraps. The last tier you need is 120. I just combined 2 different eggs for scraps, and scraps also count towards the 1-ingredient meals, for the aforementioned cooking trophy. How I found the recipes was just by looking it up online. This was early doors, so there wasn't a ton of information, but there was one video which had like every recipe in it, so that was really helpful. Cooking does actually contain maybe the only trophy I like in the game, or would like if it was better explained, for eating a flaming vegetable stew in level 3 heat. Flaming vegetable stew is just a 3-ingredient meal, but what is level 3 heat? Is it based on the ingredients that you use for the dish maybe? No, it's actually based on the temperature meter. You need to eat it when you're at the highest temperature, which is just in the desert. It's at least a unique trophy, but the problem is that the temperature meter is not only never explained in the game, it's also not used for anything at all. It's just there because, well, Breath of the Wild had a temperature meter. In Breath of the Wild, different effects would happen to you based on the temperature, like your wooden gear would set alight in the hot temperatures. In this game, literally outside of this one trophy, it does nothing as far as I'm aware, which is a massive wasted opportunity. One thing I don't know if I've got across yet is that the tiers rapidly inflate the numbers, and nowhere is that more clear than the Ultimate Tetrathlete. This one is for consuming a certain amount of stamina by dashing, climbing, gliding, swimming, and flying. I don't remember which tier it is exactly, and also can't find any of this information online by the way, but what I remember is that the jump is pretty mad in numbers. The dashing one goes from like 1 million needed to 8 million, and the others are around 300,000 to over 1 million. And remember, you need to do that first batch before the bigger numbers even come into it. It's not a difficult task. You either dash or swim in circles, climb the same wall repeatedly, or glide or fly off mountains. Oh, and that's another thing. Once you get a flying mount, I found that I was very unlikely to ever swim, climb, or glide on my own naturally, so good luck getting those without grinding them out. It is a boring grind, but it is turn your brain off, watch something on another screen, you don't need to focus on it at all, kind of boring. I'm sad to report this game does commit the cardinal sin of gacha trophy lists though, in that it requires you to pull certain characters to platinum the game. Don't do this, ever, please. A few of the game's trophies need you to max out shared mastery with a set of characters, normally related in some way. Specifically, this is Hauser, Gil and Griamore, Hauser, Hendy and Dreyfus, and King, Elaine and Tiora. Most egregious in all of these is that King and Elaine are both 5 stars. I'm less bothered about the 4 stars honestly, but needing 5 stars is whack. At least they're standard characters, but boy could you imagine if they pull a similar stunt with limited characters. Maxing out the shared mastery is a super easy thing to do, and is normally the first thing you do when you get a new character that you want to use. Personally, I got pretty lucky with this, getting King as my first ever 5 star, and then they gave away a free SSR selector in an early patch, which then I grabbed Elaine from. SSR is the correct term, by the way, rather than 5 star, but it's the same thing, you know what I mean. But just because I happen to have good luck with it does not mean these are good trophies. The best gacha game trophy lists never need you to pull for specific characters and are generally for actually doing things in the world, not just getting lucky once or twice. Like I said, I was able to get them both, but the idea that there's someone who went through and got every other trophy, which takes a lot of time by the way, but doesn't have the platinum yet just because their pulls weren't lucky, just doesn't seem fair. The real problem with platinuming the game though is resources. As is typical with these kinds of games, you're often limited by how much of a certain thing you can do a day, normally by a stamina system, and we will get to that, but something that I wasn't expecting to be an issue, but was, is just resources around the world. We'll start with the gems. The final tier you need for the Mine Precious Gems trophy needs you to get 180 of each of the 7 gem types: Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Topaz, Amethyst, Quartz, and Opal. The problem is that each of these only has maybe 20 drops you can get in the world per day. It's a case of just doing the same route daily for up to an hour, I found, if you're not super optimizing it, just farming these gems that I personally never used for anything useful. A little helpful thing I found to find them in the first place was to track flint from your bag, as every single mineable resource drops flint, as well as whatever the main stone is. So doing this you will eventually find one pocket of every mineral and gem type. More annoying are the weather-related collectible trophies for collecting certain items in certain weather conditions. Yes, the game has weather, no it doesn't really change the gameplay at all. The first of these is for getting lightning flowers in thunderstorms, 15 to be exact, and there's 15 on the map, so this shouldn't take more than, I'm gonna say 2 days, factoring you might not realise what the item is when you first pick it up. The easiest way to change the weather is just to log out and log back in, and keep doing that until the weather is what you want. The other one is very similar, for getting sandflowers in a sandstorm, which is a weather condition now, not the little tornadoes, keep up. There's 15 of these on the map too, so it's basically the same thing, right? No. Yeah, they want you to get 300 sandflowers, which again is not true, because you actually need to complete the earlier tiers first, so it's actually nearly 400. Why is there such a difference in number for basically the same trophy? This might only bother me, but seriously, please standardize your amounts. They should not be as different as they are. The last batch of trophies I want to talk about are all tied to progressing your character's gear, and most of them don't tell you what tier you need to get to in the corresponding in-game achievement, which is brilliant. More annoyingly is that these are trophies that are dependent on keys. Makes sense if you've played gachas before. Anything that increases your power is going to cost the stamina system to keep you playing for a longer period of time. It's annoying, but not unexpected, we all get it. Engraved equipment is the first thing I decided to tackle. I forgot the earlier tiers, but the one that gives you the trophy is for doing 10 different armors. You do this by getting certain armor pieces of the same set plus a seal, and then can make a new costume like a combined piece of gear. The armor pieces are random drops from dungeons and boss challenges and overworld bosses, and they all cost keys to try and collect the reward. Getting the purple set isn't that bad, but obviously the gold sets are higher difficulty, and so you'll need to be stronger to attempt them. A good way of getting stronger is to go for the crafting and leveling SSR weapon trophies. In this game, all SSR weapons are crafted. You cannot get them from a gacha, which is someone who has never and will never spend any currency on weapon banner in any gacha game. I actually really appreciate this. The big problem with this is that some of the drops are random chance, which is a pain. Some are guaranteed from defeating overworld bosses or boss challenge enemies, and I don't have that much of a problem with that, even if the amount needed is maybe a bit higher than I would have liked. No, the problems are the fragments and the blueprints. The fragments can randomly drop from overworld bosses and apparently normal enemies too, but I've never seen that myself, and blueprints are from dungeons and boss challenges. The problem is that they're never guaranteed and will be the part of making weapons that takes the longest amount of time. I wish there was a way to guarantee you get the right drop. Like, I've had all the rare complete blueprints drop, which are like less than 1% chance for like armors and accessories, but not the weapon one, which is the only one I need. I think I have like a combined like 15 of the other blueprints, which is insane. Leveling weapons also costs tier up stones, and the big problem with these is that they're also tiered by rarity, and the highest tier of these needs you to be on the harder challenges, which obviously you yourself need to be stronger to do. This is a remarkably easy fix that I can't believe is not in the game yet. Just let me combine the lower rarity ones into the higher rarity ones, like literally every other gacha of this style does. I am baffled this isn't a thing. Thankfully, when I did this, despite my low power level, I was able to get into multiplayer games with much better players who were able to carry me through the hardest difficulty, which has the best drop chance. You might think this is cheating, I call it taking advantage of the game systems. Again, this is not standardized at all. The trophy for making SSR weapons needs 5, but the one for max leveling them needs 16, which is just stupid. Either make the numbers similar enough, or just don't do it at all. Then we have the dungeon trophies themselves. I won't go into detail here, you basically have to do like 200 runs of a dungeon-ish. Specifically just defeating the boss at the end, you don't need to collect the reward, so it's not reliant on keys. There are, as of writing, a total of 3 whole dungeons in the game. Even if you split it up evenly, that's doing the same thing 66-ish times. I didn't focus this until I'd got everything I knew I was going to need from dungeons, and most of it I did while farming the weapon blueprints. At the time of writing, I actually have not got the platinum yet, and I'm just spending my daily keys on bosses or dungeons for weapon blueprints or fragments. I already farmed enough level up stones in co-op, thankfully, but I don't know how much longer this is going to take. That's the problem when your success is almost entirely down to what drops you get. Now, I would be remiss to mention that you can get 1 SSR weapon blueprint from the shop per update using the currency that you get from pulling characters. This does help as updates are every 3 weeks as opposed to the usual 6, so at maximum, just to get the 16 fully upgraded weapons, it should take 16 times 3 weeks, so 48 weeks or 11 months, and you just shave time off from there based on how many free weapons they give out or weapon blueprints that you manage to farm. You'd still need to get all the boss drops this way, but that's fine, especially factoring in co-op. As of writing, it's the start of May, and I'm at about 140 hours of game time with 4 weapon blueprints to go. So I might actually be done by the time this comes out. But after all that, what do I think of the game? God, I really wanted to like this game. Like, I really wanted to. I don't play gachas daily anymore, but that doesn't mean I don't come back to them to play new story if I want to see what happens next, or just to, you know, explore the world for funsies. The story in this game isn't necessarily bad, it's very much your time travel nonsense, we need to get all these characters from the series in one place and time. I'm not a stickler, I don't have a problem with that, I get it, it's an anime gacha game, but it's not something I'm dying to see more of. The combat is fine enough when it works, and this could be a me thing, like a my internet issue, but this game would desync animations and stuff way more than every other gacha game I've played. Again, could be my fault, my internet, but because it's the only one I am a bit doubtful. Oh, I have no idea any of the specifics of the gacha system in this game, by the way. I just pulled when there was a new character out and saved when there wasn't. I'm just not the person to ask for that kind of stuff. I think my big thing with this game is, why would I want to play this over the many other open world gachas? It is a very oversaturated market, and the only thing that I could think of is its license. Like, if this was the same game, just with original characters, with every mechanic being the same, this game would not be on my radar at all. While I am somewhat disappointed, I'm not going to be hyperbolic here and say, like, this is the worst game I've ever played. It is, by and large, just another open world gacha. When it comes to the trophies and platinums, though, I have more complaints. First off, fix the descriptions to give the combined number of all the tiers you need to clear, and also just add the number where it's missing currently in the descriptions. The trophies themselves, though, are just boring. Obviously, grindy trophies have been around for literally ages, and even some good games will have them, but a lot of these are just so arbitrary. Yes, they're all tied to in-game achievements, but make better ones of them as well, instead of just hiking the numbers up and wasting everyone's time. Will I continue playing after I get the platinum? Almost certainly not. I'm sure there are people that like this game, and I think that's great. Why would I want anyone to not enjoy a video game just because I don't? That would be stupid. But for me, I would just rather play so many other games. I don't imagine they're going to add any extra trophies. I don't even think the current ones are creative enough. I don't think they can think of any new ones. Overall, the main thing I think is that the game needed a bit longer in the oven to fix many of the launch issues that we had, and maybe add a bit more to do. And again, it's annoying because there are things I do definitely like. I like crafting weapons as opposed to pulling them. I like gear not entirely being dependent on random substats. I like that keys fully recharge at once at the start of a new day instead of being a constantly ticking timer. I just wish the game was more polished, and that is basically the crux of my issue. And that's the video. Have you played this game, and if so, did you go for the platinum? Of course you didn't, but let me know in the comments anyway, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and gives you easier access to my videos, both old and new. There are a few other gacha game videos if you're into that sort of thing, and anime games as well, or just other fun trophy stuff. I hope this video isn't too niche. If you're at this part of the video, it's probably not for you at least. I was also considering doing an NTE video as well, but that game's trophies are even more centered on just waiting around than this one, so I really wouldn't have too much to say beyond log in every day, do your dailies, blah blah. Plus, I've done maybe too many gacha videos this year. Ah well. Thank you for watching this video to the end. For now though, I'm off. Hunt them tropes. And I'll see you next time.